All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, SHIPIT Nation YouTube station? We're back. It's Thursday. It's loaded night for sports. We got NFL, we got NBA, and we got NHL in the streets. We got you covered over here at SHIPITNation.com. If you guys are new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Hoop, I'll bring you in right away, man. We're pulling double, triple, quadruple duty out here. We got every sport rocking over here. You just got off a show. I just got done recording a show. But hey, man, how we doing? How's your Thursday? What's going on?
Yeah, busy day. Did the cash show earlier. We did the showdown show. You're in the NHL streets, big NHL slate tonight. Big NBA slate for the first time in a while on a Thursday. I mean, we've had these two gamers. We had, I think, a one gamer mixed in there. But we got the full 9-game slate today. It's a pretty solid one. But yeah, we're busy. We'll have all the content up, obviously, over at SHIPITNation.com. The course for the showdown slate plan for this NBA slate is already up. Our guy Hebrew Cheetah Rio does a phenomenal job on the NBA side. Gets the content up nice and early, so when you wake up, you can start diving in. Updates it throughout the day in the Discord. Just doing a phenomenal job on the NBA side of things, and a lot of members having success today. The way we're going to do it, we're going to show off our projections here. We're partnered with the Solver, so if you are a member at SHIPITNation.com and you partner up and get the Solver Optimizer, our projections become preloaded right in here, so they're available for you. See right here, last updated about 35-ish minutes ago. So it's a good setup. Make sure you get over there and check it all out.
Yeah, absolutely. Our guy Hebrew continues to smash every sport that he touches, does amazing with NBA. I've been learning from him. Obviously, I'm not fully invested in the NBA streets too much, especially on nights like tonight where there's football, there's NHL, there's other stuff. But Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm definitely in the NBA streets for sure. Still playing every night, but once football kind of winds down here, I'll really dive in. And that's when the qualifiers, things like that, pick up on DraftKings. Contests get a little better. I'm sure you're pretty similar. I know Tambo's pretty similar that way. But we got you covered nonetheless with all our plays and content, everything over here at SHIPITNation.com. And if you are not a member, head over there, click on join now. We have added a weekly package. I know there was a lot of requests for that. I know Hoop, you and Tambo talked about that quite a bit behind the scenes to bring that in. One caveat to that is you don't get the best Discord community in the industry. I mean, our Discord, no tilting outside of Mr. Three Strikes. You're gone there. Our good buddy Slap there. But hey, outside of that, we got the best industry Discord best Discord in the industry by far. I mean, so many amazing members in there, amazing giveaways. You're constantly in there giving away PayPal to people or ticket entries here on a Sunday, joining main slate for NFL. We got everything going on there. But all the other packages weekly or outside the weekly, do come with the Discord. We got monthly, we got 6-month, and we got annual package. Obviously, annual package is your best bet, your best bang for your buck. And it comes out to about $50 a month, if I'm not mistaken. Once you do the old math there, Tambo put a lot of time and thought into the pricing structure there and made that. But no better time to join now. And if you are just a YouTube watcher here, we appreciate y'all. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I think we're under 300 subs away from 5K, Hoop. Before Christmas time is our goal for sure. Yeah. Before 5,000, and we are going to give away annual membership to a lucky member on Twitter, I do believe, once we do hit 5,000. So definitely help us out a ton there. But Hoop, that's enough marketing off the top. Still getting better. Still trying to get as good as Tambo at that whole marketing spiel here.
That's what we're all trying to get there. It's not easy. It's not easy.
It's real tough. I mean, the more I host these shows, I'm getting better at it and listening to Tambo. But man, there's only one Tambo. I'll tell you that right now. This guy's got wordsmiths. I mean, he's singing in the shower. He doesn't sing in the shower. He creates wordisms in the shower. Tamboisms, if you like to say that. But let's jump right in. First game on tap here. You see it up on the screen. everybody watching here. It's a 222 or 220 total here. Cleveland, massive favorites here at home, 12-point favorites. From first look, I'm not seeing a ton here. It's also the first game of the night, right? You got a bunch of games locking there. I see we're already getting news trickling in. Not a ton of news in this one. Two fully healthy teams here. I think Cleveland should be able to handle this Portland squad pretty easily here. So maybe a contrarian spend up Donovan Mitchell, but outside of that, I'm not seeing too much. Where are you looking at in this game, Cleveland, Portland?
Yeah, pretty much agree with you. I do like this nickname. You know, everyone's got the nicknames. Yeah, you go by Big Nades now. I like Rio Grande for a guy Hebrew. That's a good one. Rio Grande. We'll see if that one sticks. In terms of this game, in terms of DFS for this game, yeah, it's one of the least appealing games on the slate. Cleveland's favored by 12. Not playing anything on the Portland side. Like you said, Donovan Mitchell, if you're looking to get different, low ownership, he's coming in. We're showing right around 7%. He obviously does have the huge upside, but man, it's like really hard to lock him in if we don't have some of this news later on. I mean, this is a standalone 7 p.m. Eastern game. We have 8 games behind it. I'd have a hard time locking anyone in this game just for the sole reason of, man, like I want the flexibility with my rosters. Like I just don't think it's necessary. Even if we do have most of the news on the slate, I just don't think I'm coming here. So this game is one to kind of cross off, which is fine. I mean, we got 8 other games. Like you don't need to force something here. I'm off this for, all those previous mentioned reasons.
Yeah, actually, perfect point. Great point, right? Obviously 9 games. You can't play them all. This is one of the lowest totals, I think, on the slate too at 220. I do want to bring up one guy though. He's playing good right now. Evan Mobley, he has a plus matchup here. He's checking out pretty good on stuff I'm looking at. So if I'm grabbing one piece, I like the discount off of Donovan Mitchell too. He's power forward, center eligible. Evan Mobley we got him at 34 minutes right now. Pretty healthy projection there. I could see him getting a 45-50 DraftKings points here, which 5x, 6x his salary might be enough on the slate. But realistically, not a ton of interest personally in this game for me to start the night off here. It gives you an extra little 30 minutes, right, to build your teams, lock in some of your NFL winners as well in the slate. Let's jump into a next game here. We got the Brooklyn Nets, Charlotte Hornets here. 224 is the total, so basically similar to the first game here. Not quite a big a spread, only an 8.5. They're 8.5 point favorites here is Brooklyn. And we got some injury news in this one. Brandon Miller is questionable. Royce O'Neal are questionable right now. Brandon Miller news matters a little bit here. Obviously, he's been playing minutes for these guys. Stud rookie there. He's getting 30 to 35 minutes a night usually. So if he can't go, you're going to see boost to guys like Gordon Hayward. Miles Bridges might get a little boost. Some of these ancillary pieces like an Ish Smith, something like that, might get a little boost. So hit on that. But where are you going? Brooklyn and Charlotte, still not a great, intriguing game for DFS perspective.
Yeah, we're still not seeing a ton pop here in this game, but like Claxton is showing us their best value, and I like him, probably the most in this game out of all the other pieces. 6,300. He has the 40 fantasy point upside. Saw it a few games ago. He went off for 48. He's been steadily right around that 30 to low 30s in terms of fantasy points. And that's solid for 6,300. So I like him right out of the gate. We like Rozier. I'm fine going Rozier. I don't love the 7,700. Like I think there's probably better plays in this range. But if you are looking for a little some pieces on both sides, he'd be my preference. And then, like you said, Brandon Miller, if he is out, currently listed as questionable, it'd be a nice boost to a lot of these guys. Like you said, 36, 33, 31, 40 minutes. Like that's going somewhere. Rozier would obviously get a pretty big boost. Gordon Hayward, like you said, Bridges as well. So Claxton's my favorite piece in this game as of now. If Miller were to be ruled out, I'm bumping those 3 Charlotte guys quite a bit. Hayward, Bridges, and Rozier. They'd become more priority plays, more than they are right now at this point. So Claxton's number 1 for me in this game. Those 3 would probably leap him if Miller were to be ruled out.
Yeah, it is pretty big news. Obviously, when you take a guy that's playing 33 to 36 minutes off the court, right? That shoots the ball. He's a ball handler as well. that usage has got to go somewhere. Definitely gives Terry Rozier a little boost. I expect his ownership to boost a little bit. He's projected probably 10 to 15% range right now. You would see that come up because it is a pretty solid matchup here for Rozier against Brooklyn here. But realistically, as it sits now, maybe a Cameron Johnson play at 6,300. Definitely not getting to Mr. Gordon Hayward. I mean, at that $6,400 price point, he's been absolutely horrific. I'm never a Gordon Hayward guy. I hate clicking that name. And a lot of times it feels like a couple times a year we get sucked into Mr. Gordon Hayward when the LaMelo, the Roziers, these guys start sitting. And it's Gordon Hayward comes in at 40, 50% ownership. A lot of these slates, not that it's the slate tonight, but nonetheless, not getting a guy like Gordon Hayward. But Cam Johnson probably is right now how it sits. I guess I'm fine with Claxton too. Claxton, pretty solid matchup here. He's been pretty good. I mean, the thing with Claxton is if he gets the minutes, he's a good fantasy point producer, right? If he starts getting into those 21, 24, 26 minute range, right? Whether it's foul trouble, just not getting the run, that's when you see him struggle. So if he gets his minutes, he's definitely has a good chance to pay off that price point. But still, from a DFS perspective, I just don't have a ton of interest in this game. So kind of two back-to-back games, Hoop, to kick us off here that I don't have a ton of interest in personally. This next game, we got Detroit. You're Detroit, right? You're not getting lucky, right? You get the Lions back, but your Pistons are the same. Your Pistons are the same old Pistons here, 2-16. I mean, they just look brutal. Knicks are a 14.5 point favorite here at home. 219 is the total, so lowest total on the slate here. Man, another pretty gross game from a DFS perspective. Maybe a Jalen Brunson just from a matchup perspective. Little flop leg spot. Obviously, he burned me last time against Charlotte there. That was hurtful to see after he came off that ceiling game against Phoenix. Could jump on a little Jalen Brunson as a flop leg here, but I mean, outside of that, really not a ton of interest. I mean, this game screams blowout here, and it's just tough for me.
Yeah, another game that's not like super fun, and it's because the Pistons freaking suck. And the funny part about the Pistons, what do they lost, like 13 in a row or whatever? It's, you know, obviously a long losing streak. I was at their last win. You know, we went down October 28th for my wife's birthday. She wanted to go to the game. The whole family, we all went down there. It was it Saturday night? No, it was a Friday night, I believe. Friday night, went down there. The Pistons smoked the Bulls, and that was the game, if you recall. We had talked about it where Zach LaVine had been popular for a couple slates, totally busted. I was talking to Tambo before the game. He goes, oh, you know, LaVine's going to go off. Well, LaVine went off for like 51 actual points. It was one of the typical LaVine games, 51 actual points, like 54 fantasy points. Didn't do anything else, but he absolutely went off. That was the last time the Pistons won. So I was at the last Pistons win over a month ago now. In regards to this slate, man, like this is not a fun game. Low total, massive spread. Knicks should absolutely smoke them. I'm fine playing one of Brunson and Randall in a team if you want, especially if you're playing like a bunch. If you're playing a lot of entries, like get some exposure. Like there's going to be not much resistance. Like one of these two is probably going off. I prefer Brunson with you on that one. Like totally fine going to him. He's showing as a nice value in our projections. Like when you look at, I'll pull up the whole slate just so you can kind of see like where he's at compared to everyone else. He's right here. He's like the 10th best value essentially currently on the slate. So definitely fine getting some exposure to him. But man, I just don't really want much of this game at all. Terrible spot for the Pistons, like terrible spot. So none of those guys are in play for me. You're not getting any solid prices on any of these guys either. Like, man, like no thanks. Just Brunson 1, and then Randall 2.
Yeah, Knicks, great defensive basketball team here. One guy I do want to mention is quickly, just because I'm seeing him getting some ownership here, which, I mean, 5,300 makes sense. I mean, he's played 26, 29, 26 minutes in his last 3 games, so the minutes are trending up here. I mean, they all got great matchups here against Detroit because Detroit plays zero defense at all. But on the other end of the ball, I mean, the Knicks play great defense, so they're going to slow the game down here quickly, I guess, at 5,300. But I think I prefer a guy at $100 more expensive at a different position. I get it, right? Positions do matter, but Mitch Rob here, good matchup, 5,400. Mitch Rob, we know what Mitch Rob can do. I mean, he can break a slate alone, especially on FanDuel with the block upside alone. Obviously, we saw that last game against Charlotte, but he gets another great matchup here against Detroit. Centers against Detroit, Mitch Rob at 5,400. I mean, if he gets his 34, 33, 34 minutes, I mean, he could absolutely smash that price point. And I'm seeing him super low owned. And it's the same team, different position. I get it, but people want to play quickly from this team. I don't mind going to Mitch Rob here. So I kind of like Mitch Rob a little bit here in this game. You got any takes on that before we jump into the last 6:30 game here, Indy and Miami?
Yeah, I don't hate that call. What's the FanDuel price on Mitch Rob? Because he's always a better. I'm just trying to pull it up. Yeah, I got it right here. It's always a better FanDuel type play. 62, so he's a little more expensive, but his game just fits FanDuel scoring much better. So I don't hate that at all. I think he's totally fine playing this slate. The 54 on DK is fair. In terms of we got the Pacer. Now you're going to see a lot of guys start to show up here because the Pacers just played this crazy.
This is the game of the night here. Second highest total, right? 238 is the total here. I expect a lot of plays coming from this game. Obviously, we got news here. Jimmy Butler, questionable. Obviously, if he sits, I mean, you're talking Kyle Lowry all over again, Caleb Martin all over again, Jaime Jaquez all over again, Josh Richardson all over again. You got that news that is big in this game. Obviously, Isaiah Jackson, which doesn't mean a ton right now, questionable for the Pacers. But, man, you got Halliburton all the way up to 10-8. He's been crushing, but these Pacers just literally run track meets. Like, it's track meets. Talk about Bam Adebayo, because we got him projected really low ownership right now, but he's popping off the page here in our projections at the start. And low ownership, I mean, he's 9,500, which is a gross price point to think about when you're playing Bam Adebayo. But, man, he's been incredible. So touch on this game. Obviously, the best game so far that we touched on.
Yeah, so the one thing I do want to touch on in regards to Bam Adebayo, and I think it's very important, is the fact that, our projections are not projections that just fall right in line with the industry. And, we're not taking aggregates and coming up with a more fair number. Like, this number is going to be much higher for Bam than anywhere else in the industry. And we stand behind it and we roll it out. And that's why we're able to take advantage of situations like this. He's going to come in low owned. He's showing as, let's see, we pull it all together, like one of the better values for us on the slate, and he's only 3% owned. So a lot of other sites are going to end up around a similar number on both guys. So if you have projection access to a site, it's going to be similar as like 3-4 different sites. Our projections are unique, different, in a good way. It gives you the opportunity to take advantage of certain plays like this. So Bam Adebayo is a guy that I definitely want some exposure to tonight for that reason. Then if Jimmy Butler, I actually kind of hope Jimmy Butler stays in, because right now we're showing this good number with Butler in. If Butler's out, what the heck's going on? Clicking all over. There we go. If Butler comes out, everyone's going to have Bam as like this top play. We're showing Bam as this top play right now with Butler in the lineup. So, even if Butler plays, I want exposure to Bam. Halliburton, the price is way out there, like you said. I mean, and it's not the greatest spot, but man, the seasons he's having, I mean, just absolutely incredible. The floor is very big on a guy like Halliburton. So, despite this being a high total and appealing game, it is hard to find multiple plays that you want to go to in this game. But for me, the most important part is Bam Adebayo, 3% owned essentially, and our big projection. That's the key for me in this game.
And look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, there it
Mr.
is.
Hebrew himself, the GOAT, the cheetah, the cheetah, catch me if you can. He says, bam, smash spot here. Our guy, Miles Turner, a little handsy Turner. You could see some foul trouble coming. He can't defend a lick at the rim. I still probably not scoring at him. I'll tell you what, I'll get swatted across the gym. You as well, Hoop, your little son probably too. But Miles Turner, I mean, Bam Adebayo might have his way in this game. So low ownership, I do like him as a spend-up contrarian stud on this slate. Obviously, we're going to talk about Giannis later. We're going to talk about Victor Wembanyama later. These other guys that are going to get more ownership. You get Bam right there at a little bit more than Wembanyama, sandwiched between Giannis up at the top. I mean, I think it's a pretty interesting spot here. Tyrese Halliburton is just too expensive for me in this matchup. He did a pretty solid defensive team here. Kyle Lowry, I think, becomes an absolutely smash play if Butler sits. Obviously, he's going to carry a lot of ownership, but I think he's still fine at his price point, even if Butler does sit or does play. 5,600, it is a still fair matchup for him. Obviously, he's coming off that big game against Milwaukee, right? We kind of saw that coming. Milwaukee can't defend point guards. But if you look back a couple games against Cleveland, right, a solid defensive team. I'm not sure if Butler played that game. I think Butler was in. 37, almost 40 DraftKings points. If you get you that again at 5,600, I think that's fine. So I do like Kyle Lowry a little bit. On the Pacers side, man, I really just can't get to any of these Pacers in this spot. I think it's just Bam, Lowry for me or pass. Obviously, if Butler misses, you're going to talk about Josh Richardson, the Caleb Martins, the Kevin Loves again, which are going to come back into play. But at this point, I'm hoping Butler does play. Let's jump into the – go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, no, I agree with you on that part. It is hard to get to those Pacers guys, and then I do want to see Jimmy Butler in there.
Yeah, Hebrew says Title. Yeah, Title can probably score on anyone. I mean, he'll school the whole staff here at SHIPIT Nation. I'll tell you that right now. This guy's actually a baller.
Title, you don't want the smoke. Title doesn't want the smoke. I'll tell you.
Oh boy, Title, if you're listening, we might at the old little gathering come a couple months here. We might need to see the old hoop versus Title. I got the max bet on Title. I'll tell you that right now. No offense, Hoop, but
you don't know Hoop's game. All right, I'm telling you, Title don't.
I don't need to see Hoop's game. I know Title's game.
What's the thing all the guys do? The too small thing. The kids on my son's basketball team, they're all doing it. They make a basket. They do the too small thing. That'll be Title when Hoop backs him down. Too small, baby.
Boy.
Rock them.
Yeah, run the tape. Run the tape. Hebrew, clip it, and we'll run it back. But let's jump into the game that obviously is a massive talking point here. A whopping 248 total here. There is news. Wembanyama's questionable. Sochan's questionable. That's obviously huge news for the Spurs side. But, man, massive total here. Pace up spot. I mean, there should just be a lot of points in this game. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Bogdanovic, Zach Collins, Vassell, Wembanyama. I mean, talk about this game. Where are you going? Obviously, the focal point of tonight's DFS slate.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of obvious plays, and could be more. I mean, we got to see what happens with Wembanyama. I mean, the total is sitting at 247.5, 248. I mean, that's a big boy number. Atlanta, favored by 7 or 8. That don't matter. You want exposure to this one, but we need the news, obviously, on the Spurs side. Like that potentially slate changing news if Wembanyama sits and then Sochan sits. We need that news. But like Vassell and Johnson would just slide in and be primary plays. Trey Jones would become a primary play. So need that news. But if they're in, as you can see here, Wembanyama, we haven't projected very highly, similar to Bam, 3% number next to his name, 3%. So very important to get that news. Zach Collins, again, he's looking like a solid play. If Wembanyama's out, he would get a boost as well. So we need this news, the Spurs news, very important for this slate. Part of the reason why you don't lock anyone in that Cleveland-Portland game, because if we don't have this news, you don't want to be sitting with limited roster flexibility. On the Atlanta side, a little more clear. Obviously, Trae Young, fine play. Maybe get some back and forth with Wembanyama if Wembanyama's in there. DeJounte Murray, Bojan, Bogdanovic, totally fine option as well. I mean, there's a lot of guys. You want exposure to this game. There's no doubt about it. If Wembanyama were to be ruled out, Sochan ruled out, this is a load up type spot potentially. So we need the news. We already have good plays. The game's already very appealing. It could only get better if the news goes a certain way.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think a good spot is one of DeJounte or Trae Young. Both of them have great matchups here. I think I prefer Trae Young, but I think the industry also prefers Trae Young right now as it sits because you click that game log for DeJounte at 8,200 there. I mean, 14 and 25 his last two games. But look at the matchups, right? Boston and Cleveland, two great defensive teams. But you look at before that, Washington doesn't play any defense, very similar to the Spurs. Up almost 43 DraftKings point. Brooklyn, same thing, 44.5. Indiana, same thing, 42.75, right? So, I could see a bounce back spot here for DeJounte, which might be a buy low spot here, Hoop, on a guy like DeJounte Murray in another matchup. Obviously, he struggled in those 2 tough matchups, but the 3 easy matchups before that, which is basically the same spot as tonight, he smashed. So I do like DeJounte Murray here, especially at the discount off of Trae Young. I think Trae Young is more popular. He's projecting better, but sometimes going to a very similar play in a guy like DeJounte Murray in the same spot can be your low-owned differentiation piece in GPPs that can get you to the top. So I really like that. If Wembanyama plays, he's definitely going to be a core play for me. Smash spot for him here. He's checking out every box that I'm looking at here. He's off the charts in terms of what I'm looking at. So I really love Wembanyama here. He's does it all, right? Steals, blocks, picks it up. I mean, anyone you want to talk about getting swatted. You drive the lane on Victor, you're getting swatted, Hoop. I'll tell you that right now. 10 out of 10 times.
I do agree with that. Yes. I fully agree with that statement. The title statement, not so much. That one, I will agree with you there.
And then the other guy I do like on the Spurs as well is a very, very good matchup play here. It's Devin Vassell. Again, very low owned piece. Another ball handler here against the Hawks. I mean, you click on the game log, it's pretty gross. I get it. But, I mean, if he can somehow get to 30 minutes for us, obviously he's been playing 25 to 27 the last couple games. If he can pick up 30 minutes in this matchup here, which they might need him, right? They might need his shooting in this spot. I like a guy like Devin Vassell here. So it's Wembanyama, Vassell, DeJounte Murray. Obviously, you can play Trae Young, but those are kind of the 3 pieces I'm looking at right now. Obviously, the news will change things. We'll have to monitor that. But that's kind of where we're at. I think we hit that game pretty good. I want to bring this up, Hoop, before we jump into the next game. What's your thoughts on our guy Hebrew here? Said he's dusting off the old Kobe's 4s in remembrance. RIP, the great 2-4, Mr. the 8 Kobe there. He said he's going to take you both.
College athlete, real college baseball player. So I think he has I think he has some game. I might be more scared of him than title.
Yeah, I mean, baseball, I don't know how many basketballs you're hitting with a baseball bat through the net, but hey, maybe it translates.
Athlete's a college athlete.
It is true. I like my chances. I still think
I will say we would have a pretty sick softball team. I know you're a big softball player.
Oh my God, it's over with. It's over with. If people want to play softball, let's go. I'm there for that.
Yeah, we can get a company team. We'd have to find a spot on the field. I don't think like Tambo can't be like a baseball softball guy. So he'd have to be like our right fielder or catcher or something. But between me, you, and Rio, I think we could do some damage out there.
Oh man, tough scene. Tambo's just catching strays from Mr. Hoop out of left field here. There's probably zero chance Tambo's watching an NBA show on a Thursday with everything going on. So he'll have to run the tapes on that one, and we'll see how that plays out. But let's jump into this next game. Lakers, Oklahoma City Thunder here. 234, so third highest total on the slate here. Obviously, you got the standard, right? LeBron, Davis, both questionable tags. I mean, I thought this injury reporting stuff was going to change that this year, but apparently not. They still come into every game with a questionable tag here. But you got SGA, man. You want to talk about another contrarian spend-up option. SGA projected very low, and, I mean, you click on that game log. I mean, he's got some slate breakers in there, right? 65, 73, 50, 51.5. Could see a little SGA getting up here at home against LeBron and AD and D'Angelo Russell, who's been absolutely nuking. Obviously, just nuked last night, right, against Detroit. But a little different matchup here against OKC. Touch on this game. Where are you going? Obviously, a third highest total on the slate here.
Yeah, some might say the price on Josh Giddey is too low at 6,100. If you see where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah, I do see that.
SGA I'm good with. I mean, another guy, single-digit ownership, big upside for sure. Giddey at 61, all jokes aside, like I'm totally fine going to him. D'Angelo Russell, I'm with it. He'd be my preference on the other side, coming off a huge game. Some of these comments are too good. Too good. Coming off the massive game, I like him. Anthony Davis, 10-2, fine going to him as well. I mean, this is a pretty appealing game from a fantasy perspective. We have a nice total here. Should remain relatively close. Holmgren, I think you can take a look at as well. I mean, there's options here. I definitely prefer more of the OKC side to the Lakers side. It's a little harder to get to some of the price tags on the Lakers side, but these OKC guys appear to be in a pretty good spot tonight. Favored at home, projected to score almost 120 points. Very interested in OKC today.
Yeah, I like Chet Holmgren quite a bit. He's probably my favorite play from this game. I mean, 7,900. Get it. It's not the greatest spot going up against Anthony Davis, but so far in the season, I mean, it's basically a neutral matchup. Centers against the Lakers here. Chet Holmgren checks out pretty well. I mean, he's a massive fantasy point per minute guy, kind of like a Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, not quite as good. I don't think. I think Victor's better. He's just more versatile here than Chet is. Skinny boy Chet. But he's almost a 1.4 fantasy point per minute producer. And I mean, if he gets his 32 to 34 minutes again, I mean, you're looking at hopefully 45 to 50 DraftKings points. And I mean, he's 7,900. If he gets you 45 to 50, you're happy with that at that price point on this slate. So I do like that. Should be pretty low owned. I think Anthony Davis is my preference between him and LeBron here. Anthony Davis, I mean, he's checking out pretty good. Another massive, obviously, fantasy point per minute monster here. If he gets his 32 to 36 minutes, I think you could see 55, 60 out of AD here. So I kind of like both centers in this game a little bit. Josh Giddey, I get it. I mean, I might look at him if he was 4,100. I just can't click that button. I see some jokes in the chat talking about Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, you got to show me, buddy. 6,100, I think, is still too expensive for you. I'm sorry to say it. I'd rather play a guy like Jalen Williams, who I think is a way better basketball player, for $200 cheaper. I get it, different position, but you can still play Jalen Williams at shooting or small forward and power forward. So I prefer Jalen Williams over Giddey for sure. And then D'Angelo Russell, man, it's hard to ignore what he did last game. I don't like chasing a guy that shoots 13 for 17 from the field and 5 for 7 from three. Scores 35 real life against Detroit. But I guess if you want to go back to him, he's 6,900. Obviously, if LeBron sits, he becomes a much better option. So for me right now, it's SGA and Chet from OKC, and then Anthony Davis from the Lakers is kind of where I'm looking. Let's jump into the next game here. We got my Milwaukee Bucks facing the Chicago Bulls here. 229 is the total. Got a lot of news in this one, right? Zach LaVine, DeRozan, Caruso, all questionable from the Bulls side. It's hard to break it down, obviously, because if both DeRozan and LaVine sit, I mean, you're talking Kobe White, you're talking Ayo DeSumo, maybe a little Javon Carter, in a little, I believe, a little revenge narrative, if you want to talk about that. Not that Javon Carter's a huge revenge guy. It's not like he played tons of minutes for the Bucks there. But talk about this game. Obviously, Giannis, the focal point here at 11-2 against these Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I'm really going to get to Giannis, I think, is if all the Bulls guys are in, and hopefully we get like a more competitive game. Like if these guys are out, man, it's tough to imagine the Bulls are able to keep it close and competitive. So on the Bulls side, we definitely need the news. Like I don't know how you go about knowing what you're going to do with the Bulls without the news. Kobe White would become much better play. Vooch would get a boost. If DeRozan and LaVine are out, Caruso would get a big boost. Patrick Williams. So need the news on that side. On the Bucks side, yeah, if those guys are in, if the main guys are in, then Giannis, totally fine going to him. Lillard, low ownership, it's looking like 7-8%, somewhere in that range. I'd be fine going to him, but not many other spots. So we need to really see the news in this one. If LaVine and DeRozan are in, then I'll take a look at some of the Bucks guys. If LaVine, DeRozan are out, then we're going to take a look at some of these cheaper Bulls guys' plays. So we need the news in this one. Very important. Another reason, again, not to lock in guys too early with games that we really didn't like all that much anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The early games, I mean, until you get to that Indy Miami game and that last 6:30 game we talked about in that 7 p.m. game, I mean, those other first three games aren't very good. So we should be able to wait around. Hopefully we get that news. I mean, we should get that news for sure. Hopefully by the start or right before tip-off of that Indy Heat game for sure, which is obviously huge. I do like a Brook Lopez play in this game. Nobody's going to click him at 6K. I mean, you get a little leverage off of Giannis as well. I think people go to Giannis on this slate. it's hard for me to spend 11-2 for Giannis on this slate if LaVine and DeRozan, if both of them are out.
Yeah.
I just don't think they run Giannis into the ground here. I don't think he plays his 37 to 40 minutes. I mean, you could see like back when they played Charlotte, right? You could see like a 28 to 32 minute type game. Obviously, Giannis can get there. Giannis is a stud, absolute complete beast, right? But I think I think this is a Brook Lopez spot here. Something's just telling me, I mean, it's a good matchup for Lopez here. He's still a good fantasy point per minute guy. It's been a good matchup all season. Could see Mr. Brolo come out and put up a 45 piece here at virtually no ownership. And he's 6K, right in that mid-tier center play. Right. So I do like him a little bit. Outside of that, it's just hard to go to any of these. I mean, I guess if LaVine and DeRozan are both out, you could go to a guy like Vucevic, but man, he's just been brutal. I don't. What's your take on Vuce if those guys are out?
Yeah, I mean, probably have to look at him. I mean, it would be painful though, because I mean, this game very likely to turn into a blow. But look at this 28, 27, 26, playing a lot of minutes, just not getting the job done. Don't necessarily love the matchup with Brook Lopez. So I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. It does not seem like a comfortable play, to be honest with you, regardless of the injury situation.
Yeah, no, great point. Another guy I do want to bring up from the Bucks here is Malik Beasley. 5,200 for him. I mean, you could see the ancillary pieces, right? Like the Malik Beasley, the Brook Lopez's get a little extended run here in this game, and those guys kind of do it, right? Do they really need Giannis and Dame time to go absolutely bonkers here against the Bulls, especially if LaVine and DeRozan are out? So I think my two favorite plays from this game are Malik Beasley, Brook Lopez, which I think is definitely a contrarian take. If people are going to this game, I think they're clicking the studs, right? Giannis, Dame, at least that's how ownership projections look right now. So my two favorite plays, Brook Lopez, Malik Beasley, I think both of those are pretty good plays here, and both have fair price points. I mean, Malik Beasley's played 36 and 38 minutes in both the last two games, right? And now gets a pretty favorable matchup here against the Chicago team. You could see him chuck the ball here. So I don't hate that call by any means there.
Yep.
Let's jump. 2 games left. Again, if you guys haven't, I see some talk and rumblings. Appreciate you guys doing the Lord's work in the chat, begging for the likes. We don't like to do it, but hey, we bring you all of our shows, every single show we do, whether it's on the Mayo Media Network channel, which let me go ahead and post this link right now. Our guys, Hoop himself, Tito, and Tambo just broke down the Thursday night football game between the Seahawks and Dallas tonight. Drop the link, click that. You can watch it after. You can throw it on 1.5x. Get in and out of there and get all the plays you need for tonight's game. That's over on the Mayo Media Network. But all of our shows that we do are free for you guys. All we ask, like button, subscribe button, help us out a ton. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers here. And if we could hit 5,000 before the end of the year, or maybe even 5,500, something like that, that would be incredible. You guys have been amazing since we kicked it off. Again, we pride ourselves in creating an amazing community, having the best tools, content projections, the best team for the cheapest all-in rate, the most reasonable priced. We understand that not everyone has all the money in the world to spend 140, 50, 180 bucks a month for subscription service, right? But we pride ourselves in great content, great tools, great everything to give you guys enough to have success with DFS, but still have money to play yourselves, right? You're spending that much. It's tough sometimes to play in contests, right? That are actually good contests to play when you're forking out that much, and that's what we hope to do is help you win and become better players long term. All we ask is hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Helps us out a ton here. Yeah. Let's jump into the last game here at 7 p.m. before we jump into the 2 hour later time tip off when we get to the Clippers and Golden State. But we got Utah, we got Minnesota here. 221's the total. Minnesota 11-point favorites here. Another massive spread, but I mean, you got a couple guys popping off the page here, at least in our early projection models. Rudy Gobert, obviously coming off a massive game last game against OKC. Towns, right? I think it's either or. Typically, they both don't get there at the same time. I think I prefer Gobert at cheaper price point right now, which obviously ownership seems to be flipped. But there's a ton of ownership going to this Minnesota team here. Touch on this situation because I think it is an important piece here tonight because, I mean, you're seeing Kyle Anderson, which never feels fun to sign up for a chalky Kyle Anderson. I mean, I'm not a Kyle Anderson guy. I mean, this guy hasn't surpassed 25 DraftKings points since, 2 weeks ago, right? So touch on that. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, all these guys are getting ownership here. But interesting enough, on the other side, nobody's getting ownership on the other side of the game there.
Yeah, so Anthony Edwards, he missed shoot around. Doesn't sound like he's going to play. Big boost, obviously, to this offense. Karl Anthony Towns, a phenomenal play. Ownership will follow, but still want some exposure to him. Rudy Gobert, 7,400. Showing up is a good play. Those are the two, priority plays for me. I'm with you on Kyle Anderson. I don't really care. I'm not getting to Kyle Anderson. That's fine. If Kyle Anderson beats me, he beats me. We'll move on to something different. Like I don't really care. Naz Reid showing up is a fine play. And then Alexander Walker, I like at 4,900, he'll get some shots tonight. There's no doubt about it. Without Anthony Edwards, 4,900. I think he's a totally acceptable play, shooting guard and small forward eligibility. Should play 25, 30 minutes, somewhere in that range. So I'm in on a lot of those guys. Hard to find the run back though, for sure, especially, based on our projections. Walker Kessler is showing up as the guy, but he's a center, and we have Karl Anthony Towns. We have Rudy Gobert. We have Naz Reid. The only reason I'd play a Jazz guy is if I'm getting heavy on the Minnesota side. So that's where I kind of run into trouble finding the Utah guy that I want to play as a run back. But Karl Anthony Towns, Gobert for sure, Naz Reid, Alexander Walker, the next two. And I agree with our guy, Hebrew. Kyle Anderson is the Najee Harris of the NBA, just like he's cheeks, man. It's just cheeks.
Yeah, he's not good at basketball. I'll tell you that right now. My favorite play from this game, I think, is Naz Reid. Same price point as slow-mo Dusty Anderson, right? You want to take about a guy that Hoop can beat in one-on-one. It's probably Kyle Anderson. I'll tell you that right now.
Definitely faster than him.
All jokes aside, I do like Naz Reid. I'm seeing him projected a little bit lower owned right now than Kyle Anderson. Naz Reid is a massive fantasy point per minute guy, right? We know this. We've seen it in the past, right? Last game got 25 minutes, almost 32 DraftKings points there. If he gets his minutes here, which we got him projected, right around 24 to 26 minutes. If he gets a little extended run, I think he pays off that price point a lot at 4,500. So Naz Reid, my favorite play. Can't really get to any of the Jazz in this game. I think it's just grab some of these value. I see some people talking about Mike Conley. More shot attempts for him, which I do think is an interesting play here, Hoop, because all the ownership right now is condensing right around Kyle Anderson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's obviously a ball handler guy. But Mike Conley doesn't seem to be getting love, obviously, because he's $2,000 more expensive than those guys. 32, 37 minutes, right? If he gets his minutes, he's going to be low owned here. We got him projected for 32 minutes right now. If he gets more minutes than that, you could see him be the piece from the Timberwolves that nobody's kind of going to. So spend up a little bit more to be contrarian on the same team, I think is an interesting take from GPP perspective. But Naz Reid, for sure, my favorite play. And then if I had to grab another one, it'd probably be Rudy Gobert from this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely. I can get on board with that.
Let's jump into the last game. Obviously, this game's 2 hours before or 2 hours after, excuse me, the other games do lock. I'll be watching football at this point. Hopefully it's a good game going on tonight, which obviously we do have some struggles. Hopefully they keep it close, right? With Mr. Geno Smith there. We'll see what happens there, obviously with Dallas, but Clippers, Golden State Warriors here. Obviously, Norman Powell is questionable in this game. From a total standpoint, 227 is the total, but it's close spread. Golden State just a 4-point favorite here. It's tough for me to get to any of these Clippers right now with all these guys in play, right? James Harden's price point's finally up there. But when you got Harden, you got Kawhi, you got Paul George, you got Russell Westbrook, you got all these guys. They're all 7,700, 8,900, 8K, 8,100. DraftKings finally said, okay, here, you want to play these guys? Well, you're going to have to pay for it, and you're going to have to kind of flip a coin and decide who it is. So personally for this, this is another game that I just really don't have a ton of interest in. Personally, I'm just kind of acting like this game doesn't exist and hopefully it just goes under the total from DFS perspective. But what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, just one thing to point out, like Wiggins was ruled out, I think basically like right when we started, not updated yet. So guys like Clay, Steph, Draymond are all going to get a little bit of a boost. These secondary pieces do as well. I think they're fine. Like, Draymond, Steph, Clay, fine plays. But I'd want a Clipper with them. And like you said, you got to take a chance on who it is. Our projections like Kawhi. He's probably the guy that I would side with, but everyone in this game is coming in pretty low owned besides Draymond at 14, which isn't a crazy number, but he's going to come up. His total projection is going to come up a little bit with Wiggins being ruled out, but I don't overly like anything in this game. Like, there's no doubt about it. The only way I'm playing something in this game is I'm playing something on the other side. So if I have like Draymond in there, I wouldn't mind getting like Kawhi or take a chance on Harden or something like that, but everyone's priced appropriately, like you said. Nothing's jumping off the page here in our projections. So I won't have a ton. I'm with you.
Yeah, one guy, it seems like it's the night of the centers for me here tonight, but it's actually on the Clipper side, Zubac here, 5,500. I mean, 40, 31, 45, 35 in his last 32, 30 minutes. We got him projected right around 30 minutes again here. It's about a neutral matchup. I don't hate that play. I like, obviously, some of the other guys I talked about, but again, 5,500 mid-tier late night hammer play. You could see Zubac have a decent game here. And I usually like playing Zubac when nobody is on him, right? Because he has those peak games, right? Like we saw 2 nights ago against Denver, right? Where he pops off for 45. I mean, if he pops off for 45 here again tonight at 5,500 at 1 to 5% ownership, I mean, maybe even less than that, could be the play that you need. So I don't hate a little Zubac here in this game, but outside of that, really not getting to anything in this game. You can pretty much act like this game doesn't exist. So, I mean, we crossed off basically 4 out of the 8 games, right? And we're kind of focusing on Indiana, Miami, Atlanta, San Antonio, the Lakers, OKC, and then some pieces, some sprinkles from Minnesota, some sprinkles from the Bucks, right? But outside of that, I mean, we pretty much crossed off a bunch of these teams. So 8-game slate turned into about a 4.5 game slate, if you will, right? Grabbing off the Bucks and the Minnesota pieces. But outside of that, I mean, I think we hit on a pretty good hoop. Any final remarks before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of less than appealing games. A lot of news that we're still waiting on. Like, don't box yourself out by locking in too many early guys or too many of those early teams. I mean, be patient tonight for sure. Because some of these games at the 7:30 Eastern, 8 Eastern, 8 Eastern specifically are some of the better games on the slate. So I don't want to lock in anything ahead of that until we have all the news. So be patient for sure. Make sure, obviously, you get over SHIPITNation.com. Our guy Hebrew Cheetah already has you hooked up with the slate plan, and he'll update that if any breaking news hits. But yeah, appreciate your support on the show. As always, hit the like and subscribe on the way out.
Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe on the way out. I dropped that link in the chat one more time for the breakdown from our guys for the showdown slate tonight. 500K up top, right? Still money to be made there. Yeah. Nice time. Get some extra money. Buy the wife some extra things once you ship tonight. All the money for Christmas, you kids. Obviously, spend some money on yourself. And hopefully everyone has a great slate tonight in all sports, NBA, NHL, NFL. We got you covered all at SHIPITNation.com. Again, head over to SHIPITNation.com, click on join now, select your package, and you can get in for the cheapest all-in rate in the industry for the best content, tools, projections, and everything, the best Discord community as well. But for myself, Nades, we will catch you guys next time. Hope to see those Ship It Nation logos at the top. Let's ship it.